Hello, Stampin' friends. My name's Elizabeth Price, and I'm here today to teach you how to make this really fun split-step accordion fold-up mini album. I shared this as an artisan post just last week and had many requests how to do this fold. So today I'm going to teach you how to make this fold. I'm not necessarily going to teach all the DSP and the stamps and the die cuts, because you can create your own fun look that you want to do. I want to teach you how to make the base of this. And so let's get into it. So here is what it looks like open. And let me just kind of share with you when you fold it up shut and then add a belly band to it. And you pretty much need a belly band because you can see this has a lot of spring to it. That's how you're going to hold it shut and give it to your recipient, or keep it for yourself. And then as it opens up, you can see that it has this cool, and I'll kind of give you a few views here, but that's what's going on here. So the elements that I did use are from the Enjoy the Journey Suite collection from Stampin' Up. And that's where all the paper, all of even the embellishments and the twine, all comes from that particular kit. So the paper on the front, the dies, everything. So we're not gonna make this one today. And so here is one with it closed. Let me just kind of pull this belly band off. And then you can see here's a blank one. So this is what we're gonna do today. We're gonna use some different paper today, just to make it fun and mix things up. But here you can see the split step and the accordions and how they work. So what I'm gonna do today is give you patterns and measurements, and we're gonna walk through this step by step. So let me show you the patterns first. Here is the first pattern that I have, and I will post this, but you may want to take a screenshot so that you have it right away in your own stash of where you keep your library of patterns. But here is the pattern. Here's kind of a picture of it, and then here's a little bit of a breakdown of what you're gonna need to do. Pretty simple. And then the second pattern, this is for the folding of what I was just showing you. So the first is for cutting and scoring. This one is for folding, okay? So let's get to it right away here. The first thing I'm going to use today is a piece of thick, basic white cardstock. You could use just basic white cardstock, but I chose to use the heavier weight for stability reasons. Our other colors of cardstock that Stampin' Up! Offers, those are of this heavier weight. So pick a color and then get to creating. I'm gonna open up my paper trimmer here, and on the short edge here, where it's 8.5, I am going to trim off 1/4 of an inch. So make sure your paper is in the cutter, nice and square here. I'm lining up this right edge at the 1/4 inch mark, and I'm going to cut that right off, okay? So far, so good, super easy. Go ahead and pull and push or push-pull, whichever. Move your cutting blade up to the top so that you're not tempted to use it. And we're gonna turn our paper so that now we are working along the 11-inch side of things. So along the 11-inch edge, let's put our left edge here right in at 2 3/4. And when you're putting this in, I want you to make sure that you're right on that mark and that you are square, that you're definitely up into this edge. Sometimes I eke down a little bit, but you need to be square and precise for this to actually, it will work, but it will look so much better. You'll take your work up a notch if you're really careful about your precision, okay? So that was a score line at 2 3/4. Now we're gonna slide our paper again, keeping it on the 11-inch edge, and I'm going to move now, I am at 5.5. So I have this left edge right on 5.5, being sure that everything's square, and I'm gonna score it at 5.5. We're gonna make one more score line along the 11-inch edge, and that's going to be at 8 1/4. So 8 1/4, make sure you're square in your trimmer scorer and use your scoring blade. So that's what we have for the width coming across. Let's just review. Along the 11-inch edge, I have scored it 2 3/4, 5 1/2, 8 1/4. Now, this is where it gets a little bit trickier, but we're all paper crafters and we can do this, no problem. We're going to make 2 cut lines, okay? That are gonna come, they're gonna be perpendicular to our score lines, but parallel to each other. So our first slice in the middle of this paper, I'm gonna call it a slice rather than a cut. So cut, slice, whichever, is we're going to put our edge at 2 3/4. So I'm square in the machine here. I call it a machine, in the paper trimmer. And I'm right on 2 3/4. Now I'm going to bring my cutting blade into view here, because that's what we're gonna cut with. And I'm going to pierce the paper. What I'm gonna do is this little notch right here on the side. In fact, I'm gonna lift the whole thing up. Let me shut this just to make it a little more compact. So this paper trimmer here has these little marks, these little indications. I'm gonna put that little mark at 1 3/8. Okay, so I'm gonna lift the arm here. I'm still in at 2 3/4, nice and tidy. Now I'm gonna move my notch to 1 3/8. You're gonna pierce it at 1 3/8, and don't go too fast, but we're gonna slice down, and I'll pick my trimmer up so you can see where we're going. And we are going to stop at 9 5/8. So there's 9 1/2, and then you're going to come just 1/8 down. So stop at 9 1/8. Be precise, okay? Go slow if you have to. Now we're going to repeat that, just what we did. Let's just turn our paper and do the exact same thing. So put it at 2 3/4. So at 2 3/4. And now we'll find that 1 3/4, let me say that again, 1 3/8. Okay, so find that 1 3/8 mark, pierce your paper, slowly come down, and you're going to want to stop, and I'll just pick that up so you guys can see, stop at 9 5/8. And I'm going super slow. Okay, there it is. Now, this is what you have so far, okay? Hopefully you're with me. We're going to come back to scoring along the 11-inch edge. So let's put our paper in along the 11-inch edge, and we're going to put our paper in at 1 3/8. So at 1 3/8, get your paper in there straight. So I'm being sure that I'm lining up with the 1 3/8 mark here and up here, because I have a lot hanging off. But now get your cutting blade out, because we aren't going to use that. So get that out of the way. Ask me how I know, because I accidentally cut a piece earlier where I shouldn't have. Now those same notches that are in the cutting blade are also in the scoring blade. So I'm taking that notch from my scoring blade and I'm aligning it with this slice. And I'm going to slowly score, and I'm going to stop at the top slice. So I'm just scoring between these 2 slices. Okay, and it looks like I didn't go far enough on this one, so I need to go just a little further. And I may have to come in just a little bit more with that slice right there, but that's okay. I'd rather be less than too much. So let's spin it, and we'll put it again at 1 3/8. So there's 1 3/8 for the top. There's 1 3/8 right there. And now we'll carefully score between those 2 slices. And that right there, folks, is the entire project. That is the mechanism for everything here. So you have it scored and cut just as it needs to be. So you can kind of see what's going on. Now I'm going to bring in the folding pattern one more time. And so it says here on the pattern, hopefully you guys can see this, valley, mountain, valley. Okay, so this needs to be a valley fold, a mountain, and a valley. And then we're going to reverse it, and this will be mountain, valley, mountain. Reverse that, valley, mountain, mountain. So you kind of get the idea. So with that in mind, I think it's easiest for me. I just start with this top middle one, and I'm not going to make it, I'm not going to like burnish it in just yet. That is a mountain fold. Now, on opposite sides, it needs to fold the opposite directions. So that's a valley, and that is a valley. Okay, let's keep going with right down the center. So if this is mountain, then this one has to be a valley. So we'll just kind of we're just training it right now. I haven't burnished in any of the score lines, right? So we know that that's a valley. So then this one, okay, because we have valley and valley, this one has to be a mountain fold. And while we're here, this one is going to be a valley. Okay, see it coming together? So if this is valley and valley, this has to be a mountain. And then this one, since we're here, is a valley. Now, if we're going to oppose these, then we're going to go, if this is mountain, this is valley. Mountain and valley. Okay, so I have simply trained it. Now, what you're going to do is just kind of, just start working on bringing it together. You might want to fold on these. You just kind of have to pinch and coax it into position. You can't just automatically close it. It needs a little, like I say, a little coaxing. So I'm just kind of going a little bit more each time. And each time it's like, okay, can I see if I can kind of bring these in? Okay, so just kind of fold where you can. No, it's not the exact perfect shape just yet, but we will get there. This is just part of that creative process. But now that I've moved it enough, I can kind of, this one is now working just a little bit more for me, so I can bring that one in. And I can bring these in and just kind of gently coax it into position. And you can see it takes a little working, and I'm trying not to manhandle it and just like, okay, and force it into direction. Just gently, and then you can see all of a sudden it folds up for you, just like that. Now that we have that way, and it's trained, let's go ahead and with your bone folder, let's really add, and so I'm gonna kind of fold some pieces backwards just a little bit so that I can get to these. And I want to be sure that as I am burnishing these score lines and giving them a nice crease with my bone folder, I don't want to do it in the folded up position, because then what might happen is I might get a little bit of scarring if there's a fold underneath it from another layer. So be sure that you have just one layer showing, okay? So it's like, well, how am I going to get to this one right here? So this one's pretty flat. Even though I have that layer right there, it's I don't have a big fold under it. So there's that one. We did these two. Now let's try and get these right here. So I'm just going to kind of pull this out of the way. And you just have to go through, and like I say, burnish these in, being careful not to have other layers underneath stuff. So I can get to that one. And I know it might look confusing right now, but you saw how it came together. Right now, I'm just simply working it and folding it back and forth to areas where I can get to things and score it nicely. This center one needs to be done. And as you finish each of these, it's amazing now how distinctive the valleys and the mountains are, and how easily it is to just fold it up and bring it together. So this one right here is my last one. Trying to get it flat. There's a flat view of it. Get that one. And you'll be able to feel which ones you haven't done. So folks, there it is. There is the stair step and the accordion fold up. Now let's go ahead and decorate. We're not going to decorate it entirely, but I'm going to give you the next measurements, because what you're going to want are a couple pieces. You're going to want a cover and a backside cover. So these two pieces here, to fit this piece that we just made, this is going to be, both of these two are the exact same measurement, and they are 3 inches wide. Each one is 3 inches wide by 8.5. So you need 2 at 3 by 8.5. And these are going to glue to your accordion album. But what I want you to do, don't put adhesive on these pieces. Instead, you're going to put, and I'm going to use liquid glue, and I like liquid glue because it gives me a few moments to kind of move things around if I need to. And you're going to put glue, let me show you where the glue is going to go. This kind of looks like the letter C right here, or even more so, it kind of looks like an old telephone handheld receiver. Okay. So that's where you're going to put your glue. And just kind of work it around, spread it out. And I'm going to hold this up closer to the camera so you can see. That's where my glue is. Look how crazy, crazy, crazy. Now I'm just going to turn this over because it doesn't really matter just yet. We don't have an opening, but this is going to center right on there. What I meant by doesn't have an exact opening right now. It doesn't have a front or a back just yet. It will work either direction. So it's just easiest to kind of work this manner right here. So just kind of, once you have it centered on your paper where you like it, see, it was nice because I had to kind of shuffle this over to the side a little bit. And because I used the liquid glue, it gave me that opportunity to kind of just wiggle it around. And then burnish that adhesive onto your cardstock. So there is one side, has a nice cover. Now what I'm feeling in my hands is this has a nice stability to it with that double weight. So let's do the same thing for this side. So same deal, we're gonna put glue on what I call the telephone, the receiver. It's kind of right about the same size. Okay, or in this case, it's a backwards letter C. And now, rather than flipping this over, now that I have a layer on here, I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to align it. I'm gonna put it right on top, and I'm lining up my two blues so that they are lined up with each other. So I lined them up on the bottom, I lined them up on the top. Okay, and I can give a gentle, I'm not going to push too hard because I don't want all those layers to come through. So I'm going to push harder from this side, but there you have it. And now your little booklet, your accordion fold up is coming together. Now, I thought it would be fun to pull out some Rain or Shine DSP. So slightly different color palette than my original here. But I thought this would just be fun. Today we have Shine, we've had Rain. 2 days ago we had a lot of it. My husband came in and he said, "It's raining people." I go, "What?" He goes, "It's not cats and dogs, it's like so much of it." I thought that's funny. Bigger than cats and dogs. But so this piece here that I layered on is simply 2.5 by 8 1/4. So it just has a nice 1/4 inch difference on your, your cover pieces that we did. Okay, so there you have that. And then the last piece that you might want, now this is a piece that can kind of vary, and I'm just going to show you what I did. You can make this piece as wide as you want, but you want it wide enough, or I should say as tall as you want, but you want it wide enough that it'll definitely go around your album. And it's also something that you might want to do at the end of designing your album, because by the time you get all of your elements in there, it might puff up even more. And so you might need a little bit more, depth in there to, so it'll go around everything. But I'm going to show you this one just for now so you get the idea. This piece here is 7 inches wide by 2.5 inches tall. And you, like I say, you could make it however you want, size-wise, width-wise. But it's just giving you an idea. So I have already pre-scored this at 1/4 inch. And then I moved it to 3 1/4 inch and scored. These are all score lines. I should kind of do that. Then I'm going to move this to 3.5 inches and score. And I'll open up the arm here because I need just a little bit more length. And then we're going to move this to 6.5, score, and then 6 3/4. And so what I've just done is given myself enough, you know, in that 1/4 inch, that's gonna be what's gonna kind of go around the little mini album here. Now you have one extra tab in here, and I like that extra tab. So if I fold on all of the score lines, fold inward on all of the score lines, okay? These are easy, no mountains and valleys. They're all valleys or they're all mountains, depending on which way you're looking at it. What I'm gonna do is it does have one extra tab in here. So this tab folds down and then this one comes around and kind of laps over on top right there like that. And the reason I do that is because one, this is gonna be the front, and so this little edge here will kind of fall to the back. But I need this tab here. This tells me, first of all, it gives me a little bit more stability and it keeps me just a little bit more squared up when I have that extra tab. So you could cut it off if you want, but I highly recommend it. So I'm gonna put a little glue on that tab and a little bit of glue on this tab. You don't need to glue both tabs, but when you do, that little bit of glue adds just a little bit more stability and strength to things. So I'm just kind of reaching in there to hold it. Just kind of get in there. Burnish that adhesive as you can with your fingers gently. But it helps for creating a more square piece to have that extra tab in there. I hope that made sense. In my silly brain, it did. So now this edge that's glued is right there. It's kind of hiding. So that's what you want to do, is hide your mechanics. And now this will slide right onto your little project here. Just like that. And that will help hold it shut. Now what I need to do, and I'm not going to do it in this video, but you know, is decorate that belly band or add images and things to your cover here and then have a good time with your inside pieces. I will bring my original back in and just share with you that the stylish shape dies are perfect for this layout, in that these are the squares and circles. Wherever you see the squares and the circles in this project, they've all been cut using those stylish shape dies. So I even cut photos. Let me get that into the picture there. You can see that little stitch line. So I've cut my DSP and my photos and even a banner. So have some fun with whatever you want to create. And I want to see what you make. Share it online and tag me. My name's Elizabeth Price, or you can tag Seeing Ink Spots. Visit my page on Facebook, my YouTube channel. I have a lot of stuff behind a paywall, but contact me if you'd like to learn more about my classes. I would be happy to have you join along with me. Have a good day and happy stamping, folks.